Good morning, students. I am Professor A.S. Jadhav, and I'm going to teach you all the subject of legal and business environment. This subject has been prescribed for MBA first year students, first year class. I would like to discuss here today the contents of syllabus that's been prescribed for your class. Let us see first of all the contents of the syllabus. Unit 1 says about introduction to business law and mercantile law. So in this unit we will study the basic introduction, basic concept of the law, what is meant by business, what is meant by law, what is meant by mercantile law. That will be studied in this unit. Thereafter we'll study the importance of the legal knowledge, necessity and need of the law, need of the knowledge of the law. That's what we have to discuss in this unit also. Thereafter we'll have to see again the sources and branches of the business laws. What are the sources, what are the branches of the business law? That's what we have to study here. Thereafter we'll have to again see the importance of the legal knowledge, structure of the Indian legal system, fundamentals of the Indian Contract Act, general rules relating to formulation of a contract and performance and discharge of a contract, breach of the contract, remedies for the breach of the contract, quasi contracts, and various special contracts like bailment, agency, indemnity, and guarantee. And the another act that's been prescribed for our syllabus is Sale of Goods Act. So we'll have to see the general principles of the Sale of Goods Act under the Unit 2. Thereafter, under Unit 1 and Unit 2 uh, specifies the syllabus, the relating to the business organizations. It consists of partnership firms and company. They also it consists moreover protecting companies, business properties, dissolution of partnerships, its winding up of the companies, intellectual property rights like patents, copyrights, trademarks, registration of its, and remedies for infringement of the intellectual property rights, that is called in IPRs. So these topics covers two units covers all the legal aspects relating to the business laws or mercantile laws, and that's what we have to study under these headings under the subject of legal and business environment. So let us see, or let us talk, let us discuss the first unit, wherein we have to study, we have to discuss what is the concept of law, what is the concept of business law. So let's start with the concept of the business law. See, what are the objectives behind learning laws or learning business laws? First of all, we can come to a conclusion that the need of the law is necessary, or a necessity of the law or knowledge of the law is necessary to all the stakeholders of the society, whether it is citizens, whether it is including citizens including students, farmers, or businessmen, or teachers, students, or any community, any personality that's need to be studied the necessity of law. Because suppose for example farmers, if they are aware of the laws of the farming, agrarian laws, or the land reforms act, if they know the satbaras and property cards, extracts, and other things which are related to their property, if they know the how the sale process, how the contract of sale occurs, how the agreement to sale occurs, how the lease to be done, how the leave and license is to be done, then they should, as far as the law is concerned of their farming, of their agriculture, then they cannot be deceived by anyone. So the necessity to know the law is up to all of us. So there is a maxim, it says that, it goes that uh, law, ignorance of the law cannot be excused, ignorance of the facts can be excused. So if you say that I don't know the laws of that land where you are staying, then it will not do, it will not run. So one, for example, if you come to a Kolhapur city from other city and you uh, drive your car in a one-way path, okay, then what will happen? So that police will stop you, he will say you that you have broken the laws, the rules and regulations, and you have entered into the path of in a wrong way. What will you say? You will say, actually I am not from this city, I have come from other city, I don't know the rule, and that is why I entered this wrong path. Whether it is do, whether it will do, no, absolutely not, because that is why I am saying that the laws of the land must be known by each and every individual. You can't take this as an exception, exceptive rule. You can't take it as a ground that you are from other country, other city, whatever it may be. So wherever, whenever you are there, you should know the laws. So what are the learning objectives of this act? Already I have given you in a nutshell of a telling you syllabus in a nutshell. So first is to understand the nature of law, its meaning, its definition of business law. Then we have to know the scope and sources and branches of the laws. We have to again see the clarity about fundamental rights in it. By the by, in a very nutshell, we have to see the whatever the Constitution has given us as a citizens. That's what we have to see in a very short span of time. By the by, then to know the significance and overview of the business laws in India. What laws, what acts, what enactments, what statutes will come under the purview of the business law? That's what we have to think over here. We have to discuss here. So let's go to the next slide. Introduction. As the introductory part, we'll have to see that, as I told you, as already an introduction to the business laws, in short, we can say the business laws, the laws governing the business activities are called business laws. So it's a main contributory factor to man's welfare and well-being. The study of the law is of enormous practical value and vital and ever-present force in modern life. Every businessman needs more thorough knowledge of the laws than the person not so engaged. As he carries out his business as a businessman, he is confronted with the problems in future or at that moment arising out of a contracts that's been signed by him, sale of goods acts or bailment agency, whatever it may be, negotiable instruments, checks and hundies and pronotes and cyber crimes, environmental infringement issues, international dealings, etc. So in these dealings he can face the problems, so he should know the law. That's why, what is the contract, how the contract is to be signed, is if there is a lacunas remains, then what will be the problems in future, what will be the legal implications in the future, that must be known. That is why law is necessary. Now let us see what is meant by law. So first of all, what is law? It's a commanding, it has a commanding force, it has a binding force, it's a regularity, means it's a regulation, it's given for citizens, it's given for students, it's given for all the people living in that country. So thereafter, it is the subject of the study, rule of action, and judicial remedy also. So all these being, this being is covered under the term of law. It has a commanding feature, binding feature, regulations, then judicial remedy available if there is infringement occurs. For example, you have been given a right to bail under a CRPC code, criminal procedure code. For example, if you commit a crime or you have not committed, it's not been decided. But so far, but if you are have been arrested by the police, then you have right to release on the bail. So it is a judicial remedy available to you. So it comes under law. Suppose, for example, you have been arrested by the police, and now what happens? You don't have you it didn't commit a crime. It didn't commit a crime. Now you make an application to the court of law for bail, jamin. what will happen? This is the judicial remedy available to you, and if the court satisfies that you haven't done a crime or you haven't involved in any activities which is relating, which is concerned with the crime, then you will be granted a bail. So law, as per the laws, you have been granted a bail, so that judiciary has followed the rules, followed the laws. So law consists of commanding facility, sorry, commanding force, commanding a binding force, regularity, regulations, rules, judicial remedies, rule of actions, and subject of study also. As I am teaching to you as a subject of study, law is a subject of study, and I'm giving it, delivering lectures on this subject of law to the MBA for students. So it can cover, law also can be the subject of the study also. Now let us see the definition of the law. So it is said by Austin, who was a legal scientist. He says that law is a rule of conduct imposed and enforced by sovereign. Law is a rule of conduct imposed and enforced by the sovereign. Now let us see what is meant by law. So law, it's been said, is a rule of conduct, code of conducts. It's nothing but, law is nothing but a code of conducts, rules, regulations. Traffic rules are laws. For example, so every rule made by any authority of the government under any specific act passed by the Indian government through the parliament, then that act becomes a law. For example, GST Act, Goods and Services Tax Act, has been implemented in the year 2017 by the government of India. So before that, the bill means Videk, was passed in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, which is called a Sansad or Parliament in India. So for the purpose of a bill converting into a law, it must be passed and passed through the Parliament, and it must be finally, ultimately signed by the Indian President. Then and there becomes a bill into or converted into a law. So law is a rule of conduct. The morals you have been given, for example, you have certain rules following under the concept of marriage. You will marry a certain category of persons, a certain category of relationship within. So this is the law prescribed under the Indian Marriages Act. Registration is to be needed for the purpose of solemnization of marriage. So take any example, there is a law. Soil Protection Act, Soil Environmental Protection Act, it comes under air, sound. So all this teaching students all have been uh, covered or are governed by any specific act. Maharashtra Universities, Public Universities Act governs the students, teachers, employees, university employees, organization, colleges. So it all governs these things. Transfer of Property Act governs the sale and transfer of the property, especially the immovable property. Sale of Goods Act covers the sale of goods, especially the goods, transfer of goods from one person to another. So all these things have been done according to their particular establishment of the law. For example, Motor Vehicle Acts deals with the traffic rules, the parking rules, the speed limit rules. And if there is a breach, if there is a violation of those rules, then there is a punishment in the form of fine. If you mistakenly go into the wrong path, then you will be fined rupees 2,000, 200 or 500, whatever it may be. That's been prescribed by the government. So law is a rule of conduct which is imposed and enforced by the sovereign. Now what is meant by sovereign? Sovereign means country, independent country, not a country, independent country like India. The country which is not a dominion of the other country, which is not under the privilege of other country, domain of the other country. Because before independence, India was a dominion of the British people. So we can't, that time we were not saying that India was a free country and India was a sovereign country. But India is now sovereign country. We can't say about the Tibet. Tibet is not a sovereign country. It's been captured by the China, and its people are majority of the peoples are still residing in India in Dharamshala. Himachal Pradesh. So we can't say which country. So laws must be made by the country which is already sovereign, which has been recognized by the United Nations of Organization as an independent nation. So law, if I make a law, whether it is binding upon you, no. If I capture this territory, if I capture with my military power, for example, Naxalites, Naxals, they have captured some jungles from Maharashtra's east side to Chhattisgarh and Odisha's uh, middle region. They have captured. So they are ruling there. They have the powers. They can take actions. They don't follow the Indian government laws. Now we can say that this is law. We don't accept these laws governed by the Naxalites in that region. We don't recognize that. So laws must be made by the sovereign country only, and the people should accept these laws and try to implement these laws in order to establishment of the peace and order in that country, in that state, in that nation. Second definition given by Salmon is that law is the body principles recognized and applied by the state in the administration of justice. Very simple definition. Law is the body principles, तत्वांचा समुच्चय आहे, recognized and applied by the state. State means country, nation, in the administration of justice. There is no difference between these two definitions, only the words differs. Body principles, rule of conduct, recognized, imposed and enforced, recognized and sanctioned and applied by the state in the administration of justice. We can see it in Marathi, न्यायाच्या समर्थनार्थ न्यायाच्या अंमलबजावणीच्या दृष्टिकोनातून तत्वांचा समुच्चय, एखाद्या राष्ट्रानं दिलेला तत्वांचा समुच्चय म्हणजे कायदा होय. न्यायाच्या अंमलबजावणीकरता एखाद्या राष्ट्रानं त्याच्या जनतेला दिलेला न्यायतत्वांचा समुच्चय म्हणजे कायदा होय. These are the two definitions. I hope that you have got understood the concept, the meaning of law. Let's go ahead with the term mercantile or business. What is meant by business? Business means any activity, any commercial activity, or which has a commercial nature, commercial feature in that activity. So they, whatever you will say that the teaching is the commercial activity. No, absolutely not. It is, you can say it is a pious obligation in another words, but it is not a commercial activity. Commercial activity needs a contract. Commercial activity needs a sale and transfer. Sorry, not a sale but a transfer of things. So for example, if you have taken an Airtel connection, a gas connection, this is a commercial activity. You go to a doctor, it is a commercial activity. You go to a movie, it is a commercial activity because you pay for that. You go to a doctor, doctor provides you services, cable operator provides you services. So in a nutshell we can say, in a brief that business is a commercial activity of any nature consisting of production, manufacturing, occasion, profession and service. All these things will be covered under the term of a business. Now all these terms, any activity, any venture is doing all these activities. For example, take for an example, there is a Madhuri bakery near our college. This is a commercial activity, it is a business. Now this business shall be governed by certain acts, certain enactments, certain statutes, certain law. So there is a law. There should be a restriction on the rules and procedure of that running of that business. In what way, in what manner it may be registered, in what may it may be started, what must be the capital at the time of starting that business. So all these rules must be followed. Where should be the registration be made of those business activities? So all these things will be covered under the business laws. Now there are many business laws. Indian Contract Act is a business law. IDBI Bank is also a business law. Indian Banking Regulation Act is also a business law. Reserve Bank of India Act is a business law. LIC Act is a business law. Right to Information Act is a business law. Information Technology Act is a business law. Consumer Protection Act is a business law. Sale of Goods Act, Partnership Acts, Limited Liability Partnership Acts. These are all Companies Act 1956. All are business laws. So business law. So laws relating to the business activities called business laws. Uh, so it consists of the legal rules which govern and regulate business transactions. These rules, regulations, etc., brings a sense of seriousness business dealings. They provide for rules regarding the validity of making contracts and its performance. They deal with the various types of contracts also. Types of contracts, special contracts are there. So this is what to be studied under the term mercantile or business law. Mercantile and business are the synonymous with each other. Now, why should one study the law? Why one should know the law? So there is one maxim that is called a legal saying: ignorantia juris non excusat, means ignorance of the laws cannot be excused. Uh, one time you will be excused if you don't know the facts of that city, of that matter, of that whatever it may be, of the roads. But if you don't know the laws, then you will not be excused. As I told you earlier at the outset of this lecture, the instance of the entering into a wrong path, one way path, the same applies here. So ignorance of the laws cannot be excused. You should always know the laws of the land, especially at least the laws of your sphere, laws of your section, laws of your department, laws of whatever you are doing. That department's laws must be known, that section, that sphere, that whatever it may be, you can call it, it must be known by the persons who are dealing, who are working in that field. For example, if a share broker is working, if you are entering into a business of share market, then you should know laws of the SEBI Act, Securities Exchange Board of India Act. So that is why, if you don't know, then what will happen later on? You will know better. Now, what are the objects of law? So first object we can say in a nutshell, uniformity and social security is the main object of the laws. Uniformity and social security means there must be uniformity of the laws across the country. There must not be a distinction between the laws for other community and some other community or other peoples. Everybody is equal. Every citizen is equal at law and before the law. Equal protection of the laws must be given to each and every people, whether irrespective of his caste, creed, religion, language, and region where he is residing. It doesn't matter. The laws must be equal, laws must be uniform, and it must be made for the purpose of giving a social security to the ultimate citizens. Thereafter, second object of the law is to remove existing imbalance. Suppose if any provisions is absent in a particular law, then this is the imbalance that must be corrected. So that imbalance must be removed and balance must be done. Whether it is community, people, nation, lands, and whatever subject matter it may be, if there are imbalances, if there are feeling of injustice, if there are certain activities which are irregular, then that must be regularized. That must be corrected. Third object of the law is to make a strong government and a constant government and implement laws positively. So laws must be implemented positively. And for that purpose, the government is needed to be a constant, a firm. Thereafter, fourth object of the law is to impose social justice. The main objective of the laws must be to secure a social justice to each and every citizen of the country. If there are imbalances, if there is injustices occurs in this country on any person, on any community, on any section of the people, then there are differences will arise and there will be a conflict in the country. And that is why the ultimate goal, ultimate objectives of the law must be to secure social justice, ज्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये सामाजिक न्याय असं म्हणतो. सामाजिक न्यायाची कल्पना ही डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांनी दिली. जॉन रॉल्स theory of social justice, that's been a very famous theory of social justice. It means that every section, every people, every community, every body of the nation, country must be allotted equal justice, must be given a equal justice. Nobody is higher than any other person. Nobody is lower than any other person. There is no distinction made between the persons with a Raja and Maharaja and the Saranjamdar and a common man. No distinction between a common man and feudalist. Everybody is equal before law, and law's protection must be also equal to each and every individual. So, imposing social justice is the most important objectives of the law. Creating awareness of law. As I told you, I'm teaching you laws, I'm teaching you fundamental rights, I'm teaching you human rights, I'm telling you human rights. So it is obligatory upon you too that you have to pass on these subject of a law, or the fundamentals of the law, or the philosophy of the law, or the democratic nature of the laws, democratic nature of the country, or the Indian Constitution's preamble, that must be laid known to others, must be understood, must be grasped by us, and also after grasping it, it must be laid known to others also. So this is what the importance, this is what the objectives of the law we have studied. Now let us discuss the nature. We have to see the branches of the laws and sources of the laws. So sources means ugamsthana. So morals is one of the sources of the business law. Then the English mercantile laws, because our law is Companies Act or Contract Act 1870. It was passed in the year 1870. So it was influenced by the British Contract Act, British commercial laws. So English commercial laws can be called as one of the best sources of the Indian business laws also. Thereafter, uh, uh, code of conducts and some prathani parampara jalapan manto conventions, usages, some usages, particular usages, these can be also called source of one of the sources of the laws. Thereafter, precedents or reference of the other cases. For example, if a law has been decided or formulated, or a certain basic principle has been formulated by the judiciary in a specific matter, in a specific case, and if there is an absence of these provisions in a particular law, then court can make that provision as a law, or insert that provision, insert that order, insert that thinking, insert that invention in a particular law, and that will be recognized as a law. So judges declaration, judges references, judges judgment can also be called a law. Only the subject is, only the exception is that judges must be of the Supreme Court, or the judges must be of the high courts of the states in India. So that must be made by the High Court judge or Supreme Court judges. Then and there only the principle can be accepted as a law. So these are the sources of the laws. Now what are the branches of the law? Let us see. Branches means what? Shaka. So first is the commercial corporate branch, commercial branch. Commercial branch consists of the all the acts or enactments or statutes like Indian Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, banking laws are there. That will be in corporate laws will cover the Indian Companies Act. The taxation laws, for example, the Indian Income Tax Act, GST Acts. Financial laws like uh, LIC Act, IDBI Act, ICICI Acts. These acts means kaida. Enactments, acts, enactments, statutes, laws are the synonymous to each other. If I say acts, it is a law. If I say enactment, it is a law. If I say statute, it is a law. If I say law, it is a law then. So these are the branches of the laws. So I think students, you have got the basic concept of the business law. What is meant by business? It is a commercial activity consisting production, occasion, business, services, etc., etc. And the laws governing regarding these commercial activities are called business laws. Now there are two definitions I have given about the law is to Austin and Salmon's definition I have given you. The law is in a simple words can be called a body of principles or a code of conducts. Keep in mind, code of conducts. आचारांचं नियमन आचार बॉडी प्रिन्सिपल्स तत्वांचा समुच्चय बॉडी ऑफ कंडक्ट्स आचारांचा Iman's Sanch. So it is very simple. I think you have got the concept, basic concept, what is meant by law, what is meant by business, what is meant by mercantile law or business law, what are the objectives of the law, what are the sources and branches of the laws. So this is the first uh, part of the first unit. The basic concept of the business law we have studied, we have discussed. I hope that you have got the points. If you have any doubts or if you want any clarity, then you feel free to contact me on my WhatsApp number, or you can send questions on my email also. Thank you very much.